So the United States Senate unanimously passed a resolution to declare a Charlie Kirk Day. Unanimously. I mean, we kind of knew this was coming because this morning there was reporting that Chuck Schumer said that Senate Democrats were going to support this resolution. So the United States Senate just unanimously passed a resolution to commemorate a man who said that Black women were less intelligent than white men. I mean, now is your time to pull out the list of things that Charlie Kirk said throughout his career and realize that your senator voted to make a national day to commemorate all of that. So the resolution now has to go to the House, and we'll see how that goes. But this really, to me, reads as the chilling of dissent. I am sure that at this moment in time, with the rhetoric coming from the White House and from Republicans, there is no politician who's going to want to vote against this without risking political violence being brought upon themselves and potentially their staff. I guess this is what it looks like to have the gaslighting codified into an official act of Congress. Speaking of, earlier today, Senate Republicans voted to rapidly confirm 4 dozen of Trump's nominees that had been backlogged because Democrats were holding them up. They changed the Senate rules in order to speed run these guys through. Now, my Senator Jeff Merkley had something to say about it.
Senator Jeff Merkley here, and I just came off the floor of the Senate where I just voted no on a block of 48 nominees, 48 political nominees. This is the moment where our constitutional responsibility to provide advice and consent on nominations has just been thrown into the trash bucket. There is no way that the Senate voting on 48 people at the same time in any way fulfills our responsibility to thoroughly vet and recommend whether or not an individual should or should not serve in the executive branch. This is a critical piece of the checks and balances of our Constitution. This administration, with the collaboration of the Republican majority, is thoroughly taking apart the separation of powers and the checks and balances inherent in our Constitution. This particular document that I have right here, that's the list of the 48, and the whole point of the Republicans is they are abandoning their constitutional responsibilities. They took an oath to the Constitution. They're failing in that oath, and this is the document that says another significant part of the way that each part of the government, the executive, the congressional, judicial, holds each other accountable, has just been thrown into the trash bin. This is an assault on our Constitution. We have to put an end to it. We must, in fact, proceed to stand up in every possible way for saving our republic.
I have tremendous respect for my Senator Jeff Merkley. I think that he is one of the most ethical and credible legislators in Congress. Everything he said in that video is entirely accurate. The Republican Party, as we once knew it, is completely gone. The Republican Party is a fascist party in the United States of America. They are doing everything that Donald Trump wants. They are doing everything to dismantle our democracy. They have abandoned their oath to the Constitution. They are abdicating their duty. They are betraying their constituents. I'm sorry to any member of Congress who still tries to call Republicans my colleagues. They're not your colleagues. They are betraying you and me and every American. They are throwing all of us under the bus in order to let Donald Trump completely destroy this country and to turn it into a fascist state. Today, we saw a prime example of that. Republicans in Congress hand over more and more and more of their power all of the time. They are completely dismantling the checks and balances and instead saying, let the executive have all the power. Let Donald Trump have all of the power. Maybe there will be a place for us in the fascist regime. Maybe we can keep our jobs and our cushy salaries, and maybe we can continue to profit ourselves under this system. They're all fucking betraying all of us. And Senator Merkley is right. There's no way for them to advise and give consent on 48 nominees at once. Kimberly Guilfoyle was put through as the ambassador to Greece. Remember, she was one of Trump's kids' ex-fiance, Gavin Newsom's ex-wife, who went hard MAGA. I want you to understand here that all of this madness could stop at any point in time if Republicans decided to uphold their oath to the Constitution and to govern legitimately. This is all happening because Republicans are letting it happen. Donald Trump is a weak ruler. Autocrats are weak rulers. He is incredibly, incredibly unpopular with the American people. All of this is happening because Republicans in the House and the Senate are empowering and enabling Donald Trump, Project 2025, all of the whims of a would-be authoritarian dictator. If anywhere along the way Republicans in Congress had stood up, all of this shit could have been shut down. They still could stand up and could stop it. And instead they're facilitating it. Why do you think Texas is currently trying so hard to gerrymander? Why do you think that Republicans all over the country are desperate to kick people off the voter rolls, to support all of Donald Trump's plans to suppress the vote, to disenfranchise voters? It's because they know that what they're doing is hurting their own constituents, is incredibly unpopular, is unconstitutional, and they know that they're going to get their asses handed to them in the midterms. They know that they've sold their souls and that they cannot win through legitimate means now. I mean, a lot of them didn't win through legitimate means in the first place because red states are gerrymandered all to shit. But they are so desperate to hold on to power through any means necessary that they are willing to destroy this whole country. This is why we cannot wait until the midterms. Like, whatever you may think about this Charlie Kirk resolution, whatever, the real issue here in my mind today is what happened with this speed running 48 nominees through at once, and the way that Republicans in the Senate have changed the Senate rules to abandon their duty to their constituents, to freely abdicate their responsibility as senators, to hand over more and more power to the executive. We have no kings in the United States of America, but goddamn, y'all, Republicans in the House and the Senate, they are trying their hardest to create one by freely, on their own, giving away their power of checking and balancing with the executive. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who's an attorney about the Supreme Court and the uber conservative majority of 6, and I was like, what do we do about them and the fact that they are handing over power to the executive and making just unbelievable decisions on the shadow docket, and they're pissing off all of the lower courts. And he said, actually, I'm far more concerned about Congress, right? What is happening with SCOTUS would be far less of an issue if Congress would do their job. And really, it's the failure of Republicans to do their duty to check the executive, right? How many impeachable offenses have Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance all committed already? And Congress is abdicating their responsibility to check the executive. And I think he's completely right? That is, that's the linchpin. And they're real desperate to not have us check them in the midterms. They're real desperate to consolidate all of their power, strip away as many of our rights, and disenfranchise as many voters, rig the system so that they just keep getting elected over and over and over again, and that there's no power, that the American people no longer have a representative democracy. We no longer have a voice. We no longer have any control over our own government. They want to make it so this country is no longer of, by, and for the people. That is the Republicans' plan. They are a fascist party. They are the party of fascism. They are the party that is dismantling this democracy. It's not just Donald Trump. It's every Republican in the House and the Senate. So thanks for letting me hook you into this 8-minute long video with that resolution about Charlie Kirk. But the real issue here, y'all, is Republicans in the House and the Senate. What are we going to do about it? What they're doing is unconscionable. It's unconstitutional. It's deeply unpopular. But they're going to try as hard as they can to hold on to power and to disenfranchise as many voters, suppress the vote as hard as they can in the midterms. So what's our plan? What's our strategy? If we want to restore our democracy, who's standing in our way? Who's actively trying to dismantle it right now? Pretty fucking apparent today. We can be mad at Donald Trump. We can rail against an aging narcissist who's sundowning. But at the end of the day, it's the people behind him who are keeping him in power. It's the Republicans who are furthering his agenda and dismantling our democracy. Every Republican could stop this madness at any point in time. They could get together and they could stop this, but they're choosing not to. Every awful thing we are experiencing now is because Republicans in the House and the Senate are allowing it.